You all right, Bob?
And very good indeed. How are you?
Excellent. Yeah, I'm good. I've just refreshed my chamomile.
Yeah. So middle class.
Oh, God, honestly. Who is this guy?
Who is this guy?
Who is this guy?
Where's my salmon? Yorkshire cup of tea.
I'll be asleep in 20 minutes with this. It's normally like a...
It's so zen in these vibes here.
Lovely.
Here we are, January.
Yeah.
It feels like this January has been just full steam ahead. We're only in, what, second week?
Not even just full steam ahead. It feels like we've still got like an absolute mountain to climb.
Yeah.
But I'm dead excited. Me and Merla had a meeting yesterday without you, didn't we?
Yeah, I know. I felt cheated on when you posted that, and I was like,
pumped after that.
Things got to change.
So we had a chat about.
Change.
We've talked about it before on the podcast, and we can talk about it quickly now. But me and Merla had a chat about her marketing masterclass that she's going to come on board with.
Bring to the Idea family.
We thought, we'll just title a few episodes.
Yeah,
we've come up with 28 episodes, Igor, around
just
marketing.
Be a small thing, you know.
Just absolutely incredible. I was like, God, actually, yeah, we actually know quite a bit of stuff. And Merla's, I mean, we've said it all along.
She's the boss.
She knows her stuff. I don't think she realises just how much she knows. So yeah, looking forward to. We're going to sit in front of the cameras next week and start filming the first few sections. And that's in the pipeline. Me and you have scripted. Well, not scripted. We've planned the how to add a podcast to your brand episodes. Yeah. And we're going to do a video basics one as well.
How to add video to your business.
So yeah. There's some things
it's
coming.
All happening. It's all happening. Come on. But for those that are joining us right now, for the first time and continuously every week, we are
Another Idea,
a podcast for creatives and entrepreneurs.
Just want to level up their business.
And it would be amazing if you could share and subscribe to our little podcast, because that's the way that we will be heard.
Yeah, we're only going to be here in 6 months' time if people shout about us. That's
it. So we very much appreciate that. And thank you so much for showing up once again.
Yeah. And
I was again going to bang on the table, but I'm not gonna.
No, that might take a while for us to phase out. Do you reckon?
My hands.
And it was only one person that said try not to bang on the table. So other people might not. But now we've done it. I'm like I do notice it.
We are conscious of it.
So we are very aware of it.
So thank you for that.
Thanks for the feedback. Anything else that you want to address before we?
No, I'm just excited to dive straight into this one. It's gonna be a good one.
So I've already said to her I have almost no questions for her, because you've come up with an absolute list of questions. It's but we could be here for quite a while.
It's fine. It's fine.
Today we have Hannah B Photography.
Indeed.
In the studio, who's come up all the way from Cardiff.
Yes.
Amazing how people travel for this.
I know. Why would you want to travel and come and chat to us?
Why would you want me on your podcast? That's the real question.
Oh, well, people are about to find out.
No, honestly, thanks so much for having me here. It's just, when I got the message, it was like, me? Really? Why? And
is there another Hannah B?
Is there another Hannah B? There is another Hannah B Photography. So I put UK. Stamped that on my business name, just to be clear. But it's such an honour to come here and love travelling for work.
It's a nice little day out the office, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I did bring my laptop on the train, and I only used it for the calculator, so I didn't actually do anything else. It's been a great day so far, and I got my hair did for today.
All done.
Your hair did. Amazing. Where's your little teddy bear that you were bringing as well? Where's that?
Actually, it's over there, and I did bring.
Run and get. You need to get it.
Should I get it?
I think you need to. Yes,
definitely.
Okay. 1 second. Talk on my
We'll fill time for a second. You having a good day, hon?
Yes, I am. What's for dinner tonight?
Jeremy's going out, so I've got because we have no kitchen, and I just only have an air fryer.
Yeah.
I'm going to try one of the Linda McCartney veggie burgers tonight.
Ooh,
I'm a big fan of the Linda Ray.
Fancy.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have a beef burger. Well, not a beef burger because it's not beef, is it?
Yeah.
But you know what I mean.
Not beef. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, she's back, so let's cut away from that. Somebody did say on the previous episode, like, they're here for the pate chat that we spoke about. I was like, I can't even remember talking about pate, but we did.
We did. How you like pate on bread? And I was like, what?
Yeah, have you tried that yet?
Yeah, I did.
Did you?
Just because of you.
Did you slice a piece? Did you toast a piece of bread?
Warmed up in the oven.
And then did you slice it in half really thinly?
Yes.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Did you like
brilliant.
it?
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
How do you have your pate, Hannah?
Pate. Oh, I'm vegan, so I don't know some.
Yeah, well, I'm veggie and my wife's vegan, but we had a vegan pate over Christmas. It was amazing.
One,
yeah,
and my mother-in-law, she mixed the mushroom one into the mushroom stuffing and then baked it. Oh my god, it was so good. So actually, yes, I have a pate. So this is my non-Disney affiliated.
So for those listening and not watching on YouTube, you have a small Disney princess stuffed toy.
It's not just a small Disney princess. This is Anna from Frozen.
This is Anna.
This is Anna from Frozen. So the story behind this is my daughter. Every time that I travel for work, she likes to put this in my bag, and it's so that I can remember her. It's something to remember her by. She's 5.
Because otherwise you'd forget your daughter.
Of course.
And then I bought my little good luck pig that I keep in my bag.
She's got the whole family.
I do have a desktop manatee.
Well, we know. We've all seen it on Instagram now.
It's ridiculous.
Along with your toe.
I was going to bring my good luck manatee. She's called Dina, but that's my desktop one. So I bought my travelling pig instead.
Amazing.
That goes in my photography bag.
And your daughter she wants pictures of Anna, doesn't she? In different locations throughout the course of the day.
Yeah, we'll make sure we grab one.
Yeah, and actually she's quite travelled. She's been to Ireland, Iceland, up and down the country. Just
check her out.
Well travelled.
Wow.
Well travelled.
Wow. That's amazing. But let's get the show on the road.
Let's just get off. Hannah, what do you do?
So many things.
Let's list it. Come on, fire them off. Let's go.
Okay, so primarily, actually, someone asked me this question yesterday, and I was like, primarily I'm a birth photographer. I was like, hang on, primarily I'm a mother. That's probably my first thing. Sorry, children, to forget you there for a second. But primarily a birth photographer and a birth worker. And I've just done my doula training, so I can add that to my packages as well, which is really exciting.
How does that work?
Yeah, what is doula training?
So doula is a professional birth partner who has all sort of the knowledge of birth and emotional support and physical support if they need it and if they want it, and it's all tailored to each person who's giving birth and the teamwork. And I love teamwork. Like, if I were to have my top 5 favourite things, there'd be teamwork, noodles, gift shops, manatees. I'm sure there's something else.
You know what? I have to admit this. Whilst reading your form, because we always have forms for our guests, just so we can kind of get a little bit of insight, really. I didn't know what a manatee was. At least I didn't know what the word was. And then I Googled it, and I'm like, oh, it's you! And yeah.
It's a sea cow.
Yeah, that's it.
They're great. They're vegan. They have no natural predators. Like, crocodiles even get out the way for manatees because they're just like the friendly neighborhood sea cow. And they're just...
Yeah. And what's your favourite noodle? I mean, I'm a big udon fan.
Udon. It's got to be udon.
Udon's the noodle for me, isn't it?
Wow.
Igor, what's your favourite noodle?
I'm not into noodles like that. No, I can't say.
No?
No. I have to try this. Udon?
Yeah, udon's like the really thick noodle.
Oh, yeah.
Thick noodles, and they're I'm
usually into thin noodles, but yeah, I'll try that.
Okay, yeah. I'll get you a pack of udon noodles next time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow, high level.
I did not expect this conversation to go this way.
I think we can just stop now.
Yeah.
I'm just going to
We're here for the pate and the udons.
Yeah. Whoever commented about the pate is in for a treat this week, aren't they?
Yeah, but no, please carry on.
Okay.
You were saying who you are and what you do.
Yes. Okay. So I made my photography business official 2 months before I gave birth to my daughter, because I was in that nesting phase, and apparently that turns into going on to HMRC and making a business. But then I've been doing photography for eons now, like ages and ages, and I actually trained at drama school doing musical theatre since I was tiny, and then I did acting for TV and film and voiceovers, and then decided that I hated it. And I was doing photography the whole time, like, doing headshots for friends and doing the odd wedding. And then it took me quite a long time to realise actually that's the thing that's been the constant. That's the thing that's always been there, that freedom and that creativity within that field. So I took like 6 months off to do nothing after drama school, and my husband and I moved into this flat that was above this converted garage of this very, very wealthy family, and their garage was like a 7-car garage, so they could have a flat on top, and there was just us and, you know, some resident mice that came and joined us as well, because it was on a farm. And then we left Oxford and then moved to Cardiff about 6-7 years ago when I was pregnant with my daughter, and some of the rest is sort of history, really.
How come the move?
So my husband is a very smart, bearded science man, and he did a PhD at Cardiff Uni in psychiatric genetics. Don't really know much.
Okay, amazing.
He's just a smart cookie. So we moved for his PhD and we loved it. It's great there. This isn't an ad for Wales, but like...
Yeah, you're still there.
I'm still there,
in Cardiff,
so
yeah.
that, you know, that's something. And
then when you registered your business, you registered as a newborn, a birth photographer?
No. So weddings. So I used to do weddings, and it's kind of anything I could get my hands on. I didn't really know that you could make money as a photographer without doing weddings. So I just didn't know. I didn't do the research. And then when I was in labour with my daughter, I found out that birth photography was a thing. And I was
Hang on, whilst you were in labour?
I also took my driving test while I was in labour. I didn't pass. I was really close.
Rewind.
Hold on. Okay. Where do we start on this one?
This explains Hannah so much, but
I feel like we're going to
you got to slow down and break this down.
Okay.
Oh god. Okay. So I had a very long labour. It's called a prodromal labour. It's like mine was about 10-11 days.
Wow.
So I had time to do
prodromal labour.
Prodromal labour, yeah. Wow. So it's like a really long latent phase where nothing sort of really moves, but you feel everything. So that was about 10 days for me. So I was looking on my phone, I was scrolling Instagram, I was like, would
you be having contractions whilst that is happening?
For 10 days. That was my experience. It doesn't happen for everyone. And then it didn't happen when I had my son. That was a 3-day labour, and that was great, actually.
How rare is that? Or normal? How normal or rare is it? I don't know. I've never heard of a labour going on for such a period of time. That's
incredible.
Yeah, it completely depends. There's it's every single birth experience is just drastically different. Yeah, which makes the photography really, really interesting. Yeah, and makes the experience really interesting as well. But
so hence the driving test. You got time.
It's a driving test.
Obviously,
I was driving
just having contractions. I was just doing a driving test. Yeah.
I was so close.
Well, you can't reschedule them these days, can you? You got to wait a while to rebook them, so you might as well do it whilst you can.
Yeah, exactly. Because I wanted to pass my test before my daughter was born, and oh man, I was so close. But I told my friend, she was like, "You should have just told them you were in labour. They would have passed you." I was like, opportunity missed. But anyway, I did my test later and it was fine. And then, so I was in labour, I was scrolling through Instagram, trying to get some oxytocin, just desperate to get things moving. I was like, right, we've got to look at puppies, we've got to look at bunnies, the manatees, of course, got to look at kittens. And then I was just doing the usual sort of doom scroll, and birth photography came up. So I'd been really interested in motherhood photography and capturing that bond, and parenthood photography. And then I saw that birth photography was a thing and people were getting paid to merge them, really. Because I was thinking of going into midwifery. That was a really strong urge at one point, and then decided that I really couldn't give up the photography, and that really would have to be pushed to the side if I wanted to completely throw myself into midwifery. So, and then I figured that I could maybe combine my two sort of loves, and it was like a light bulb moment. And then I had my baby, and I took self-portraits of my own birth.
That's incredible.
Not with my toe.
And I feel I'll get thrown off track now. Okay, let's do the toe, and then I'll say what I was going to say.
Context to the toe.
You do the toe.
Big up to the toe.
It has to be your new slogan. I'm just throwing it in the hat.
So we always ask our guests for some photos, and Hannah, being Hannah, just took some selfies, or took some photos, or self-portraits, let's say. with a camera in a tiny room. You showed this on your stories really, really well. And as you're showing how you took those portraits, you literally show that you literally took it with your toe, literally with the timer, and
with the camera resting on a manatee, just to change the angle.
It's you can't just.
It's got to be one of your most liked reels. That has surely.
You can't just script. It is a reel, right?
It is a reel.
It is a reel. So you can go back and watch it.
The point I was going to make is obviously I'm aware there'll be people listening to this again. Our birth photographer it's just like in their head they'll have this image, and I can't encourage people enough to just go and check out Hannah's work, because it is not what's in your head. Her work is absolutely it's breathtakingly good, isn't it?
It really is.
I just find myself scrolling it going, what? Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like just the emotion of it, the power of it, the beauty of it. It is remarkable, and it's just utterly fixating. So anybody listening that's thinking like, oh, it's just birth photographer, what? Oh, just baby's been born. It's just way above and beyond what you might imagine. So go and check it out.
Yeah, just literally looking at your work, you very much changed my perception of birth photography, because it can be easy to think of it as, it's going to be something cheesy and just mummy and baby sort of thing. But no, it's just the rawness and emotion that comes from it, and it's just incredible. So literally, as Sam said, just
go and check it out.
Go and check it out.
That's
amazing. It's incredible.
Thank you. I think one of the really big misconceptions with birth photography is that it's really intimate, as in a sense of not showing intimacy, but intimate as in breaking privacy and
it's one of the most intimate spaces you could step into.
It's the most vulnerable places that you could be in.
And I think a lot of people think it's just about the graphic side of birth, and more of like the I don't really know how to describe it, but for me it's about that teamwork, and it's about that journey from being this one person to being a completely different person once that baby is born, and once you've gone through that journey, however your birth unfolds, because every birth is completely different. There's not, I can't sort of stress that enough, which is, it makes my job really exciting. And isn't that crazy? It's my job. Like, that's just mad. But
what happens if someone calls you now and say, have you got... I just want to know about
I just love how you say that.
The mechanic, how do you factor it into, how do you work it into your life?
Yeah, so the logistics.
That just fascinates me, like how you kind of go, so you're going to give birth on what day? Okay, right, I'll be there at 4:00.
Yeah, so the last birth I attended, I actually had to leave 3 p.m. Christmas Day, and I was there all day. I think I left on the 27th, and I finally got home at 4 a.m. on the 27th. So baby was born Boxing Day.
Wow.
And with that, so with me, I think it kind of varies between birth photographers, where you can be on call from the 37-week point or the 38-week point. So I like to be fully prepared and ready by 36 weeks. Our contract starts at 38 weeks, but if they need me between that time, then of course I'm going to go. So that can literally mean I could be on call for 5 weeks, I could be on call for a day, I could be on call for 2 weeks. And it's about making sure that your own boundaries are set as well, about how much you can take on within that month, and how much rescheduling you're able to do, how much... I don't really know where I was going with that, but it's just an amazing space to be in, that someone can trust you with so much of like your time, and there's something really special about that. And I'm very, very lucky and very, very privileged that my husband has a job where he can it can be a little bit more flexible, so he can work from home if he needs to, and so the childcare is basically settled. I know that's a lot of people's worries. That's usually one of the first questions that I get, is how I navigate motherhood and my business, and that's a whole other thing. We can get to that, but it's really interesting, that on-call time and setting your boundaries. So I stopped doing weddings maybe 2018. So I was still doing them, while doing births, but birth photography was so new and so niche, and no one really knew anything about it. So the bookings were really far and few. Few and far.
Far and few.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
You got it.
Okay.
We can make up new phrases here anyway.
As we will.
Yeah.
That's
Big up to the toe.
guaranteed. Big up to the toe. Oh God, I can't believe that. And so it was about making sure that the on-call time didn't overlap with, say, a wedding, because then it would be a choice, and that's not a choice I was willing to
That's
make.
literally what I was thinking as you said that you were doing both at the same time. I was like, what if you're at a wedding and a call comes in?
Yeah. So some people do that, and they have backup photographers. With me, my relationship with my clients is of like utmost importance to me, and making sure that we have that trust and that bond, and because I'm going into their space where they're the most vulnerable, and I'm not willing to put myself in a place where I'm not fully welcomed into the room and they don't fully want me into the room. So if I have a birth inquiry and we don't mesh, and when we have our call, that's okay. They're just I wouldn't want anyone in my birth space that I didn't fully want there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
And it goes sort of both ways. You know, say if they really like my work ethic and they really like my photography, but I don't think I'm the right person for them, then that's when I would have to say that. So
have you got any deal breakers?
Radius. So well, actually, I'm not great with radius boundaries.
I love how we've just completely backpedaled on that one.
Hang on. But from this year, actually, boundaries are really important to me. And last year, not so much. But the Christmas birth, which was amazing, she was absolutely incredible. She's one of my really good friends. She hired me. She was the first person to hire me when we went into lockdown, and she was like, I'm going to pay you in full. I want you. I'm in Manchester. I know you're in Cardiff. And yeah, it was just like that blind, like we've never, it was just amazing. And we've become really, really close friends since then. And so I said, yes.
I imagine you just must be like that with every client though, because it is such an intense emotional space that like as somebody that obviously has a good level of empathy and understanding and like connection, like you are only going to connect with those people, and that's going to be a bond that you're going to just like, I think we feel it with weddings, like exactly I feel like I leave so weddings and feel like I kind of they become best mates, but like it's just you 2, 3, 4 people in a room maybe.
I'm auntie to so many babies.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
So good. That's the stamp. That's the badge I want. It's
how do you sort of describe your work? You know, like when you said about birth photography being something that was on your radar, and I mean, my only experience of photography in the birth of children was like more post birth, so it was like in the hospital they kind of said, oh, we'll come and take some photos, and I'm all right, thanks, I'm a photographer, I'm not going to pay you, am I? But yeah, it's not something that I was aware of existed until recently. But how would you describe the kind of work that you create in that environment?
I think for me it's really important with my own creative journey is that I include that creativity. And especially for my own mental health and my own art, for example, it's like a therapy to create. And so while it is purely documentary, there's no like, hey, can you just push baby back in? You did something really nice there. Like that's physically not possible. And there's what I really wanted to do is make sure that I have incorporated my style and my art within birth, and actually show that, you know, it happens every day. It's messy, but it's beautiful, and there is beauty in so much vulnerability, and something that's been shied away for such a long time actually really deserves to be celebrated, because we were all born, so we're all here from a birth.
Yeah, so. That's it. We all have that relatability, really.
Yeah.
No, that's incredible. Absolutely incredible. I just want to go back to those early years, really. So, yes, you said whilst you were in labour, you were discovering birth photography.
Mm-hmm.
So how soon after that did you shoot your first birth?
That was great. My first birth was, my daughter was 7 months old. So it was all about saying, hey, this thing exists. It really only exists in America, a little bit in London. Australia is huge for it. But this is something I want to do. I think I can do it really well. I think I can be a valuable part of your team and your birth journey and your experience. And it was one of my childhood friends that didn't have a birth partner. And I said, hey, look, I'll be your birth partner. Would you mind? And she's like, mate, go for it. And then after that birth, I just like sat in the car and just sort of took a moment, and my eyes just started to well up, and I just like, it was like a really cheesy Hallmark movie. I was like, I'm a birth photographer. And it was so cheesy, but it was great. It was one of those transformative moments. And then it was just like that.
Well, that's amazing of your friend as well to just say, yeah, you go for it.
Yeah, she's a good
that's
egg.
Amazing.
It's her birthday today. Happy birthday. And then my first.
This is going out in 2 weeks' time, though, but it's fine. It's
Happy
okay today.
belated birthday. The second birth I did, I wanted to, if I could, make sure that it was someone that I'd never met before, to see how I would react with making those relationships with strangers.
So how did you approach that person? Because obviously, yes, you kind of like got your one portfolio in some ways. But how did that come about? Because hi,
yeah, hey,
hi.
So I actually posted.
I don't want to be creepy, but can I?
Yeah, take photos of you having a baby.
So I actually posted on our local mums group. And I made sure I had permission from the admins, because sometimes those things get taken down, and that's fine. But I posted on the local mums group, and someone was like, yeah, I'm interested. And I had a few people where we had conversation, it didn't really go anywhere. And you know what, that's absolutely fine, because if they weren't sure straight away, they're not going to be sure, and you know, in the moment. And that's important, that they're not worrying about me at all, that I'm fly on the wall if that's what they want me to be. And they can focus on themselves. That's ultimately the main goal, is for them to just completely go within themselves and do what they need to do.
Focus on the job at hand.
Focus,
yeah.
While I focus on, that was going to be a cheesy joke, on.
No, that's it.
Oh God. So that was that, and that was great. And then it just kind of kept going from there, and it was word of mouth, and then we're here now, really. And that's sort of my main, I guess, brand sort of identity. It would be like, I mean, in my Instagram bio, it's birth photographer and doula, but obviously I do other things. But before I had really established, yes, this is what I want to do, because I didn't know how I was going to react in someone else's birth space. I had no freaking idea. So it was kind of taking that leap of faith and seeing how it went. Obviously, I had some interest. I wouldn't just go in if I had no interest, because that wouldn't
The calling
work.
was obviously there, though.
Yeah.
If like midwifery was on your radar, and that kind of.
This is silly. When I was younger, my cat was pregnant, and I made sure that I was there when my cat gave birth, and I was like, this is amazing. And not saying that cats and humans are, you know, the same, but it really did sort of set something off for me. So that was very cool. So I have always been really interested in it. Just I don't know, life.
I think it just goes like, we can all say this in hindsight, can't we? Like, you know, now it all looks like you can see everything kind of fall into place, and like you now can understand why that happened. But
yeah,
you still have to commit to giving it a shot.
Oh, absolutely. And I think for me, especially this year, it's about just diving in and trying new things and putting every part of me just into projects and into individual shoots and into things that are so muscle memory, like going and doing a shoot, just putting new ideas, new projects, trying new things. And I always say, like, what's the worst they can have? And they can say no, or it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, I just won't include it in the gallery. Then that's fine. But at least I've tried. And so that I feel really strongly about that, about trying and just putting myself forward, because I spent a long time not doing that, worried what other people would think. Everyone just worries about how they're coming across, not really about other people. And so this year especially, I've started really listening to myself. Like if I'm about to do something and I feel really silly, like posting that toe video, I recognize that feeling of, I feel like people are going to judge me, and I'm like, I'm going to do it anyway, and I'm just going to see what happens. And actually people loved it. Who doesn't love my toe?
Big up to the toe.
Amen to that.
No, that's amazing. And yeah,
I've got another question. Sorry, I've got another one. I haven't got.
Makes sense.
You've got yours written down. I haven't got mine. Is there, I'll ask this one, then you can go through.
No,
your
go for it.
Has there been like I imagine you've got some good stories, right? But has there been like obviously with confidentiality, you know, you can't obviously discuss much. But has there been like kind of a standout moment in that career as a birth photographer? Is there anything that you kind of reflect on as being, wow, that like just really got me?
So the first birth that I ever did, that was a very emotional, transformative time for me. The first time I was let into theatre to photograph a C-section I was so nervous and had to put on scrubs, and I thought I would look so freaking cute, like Grey's Anatomy, but no, it was just like loft troll here taking photos. Had to learn everything on the spot, learn all about, you know, keeping things sterile, keeping out of the way, not making a sound. I was very nervous. My heart was going, oh my God, I feel like everyone could hear it, but that was huge.
That's the thing,
yeah,
isn't it?
It's amazing of the
Shutter
hospital
going
as well.
whilst everything is happening. I don't know what you shoot with, but
Canon R5.
R5.
Yeah, it's amazing of the hospital or wherever you were to allow you to do that as well. Because I can imagine some people would go, you ain't coming in.
Overwhelming majority of the time. I had a very special circumstance where my client, who's now a very, very good friend and a return client actually, is a midwife at that hospital. So her friends were doing the surgery and her friends were facilitating her birth. And so I was very, very lucky to be allowed in. It's not unheard of, but it's definitely not sort of
what an experience.
And so that felt amazing, because it was like that trust being put on in a really, really delicate space. And it was great. It was so chill in there. They crank up the music, they connect phone to the Bluetooth, and they're like, "What do you want a playlist on?" Put a playlist on. The surgeons are just chatting, obviously focusing. It's really cool. It's really chill. And I remember leaving that with like my little Crocs that say birth partner on, and I was like, I want to take these home. Put them on a frame or something. But that was really transformative. I've got some funny stories about not about my clients, about me. So there was one instance at my sister-in-law's birth. Actually, I was still breastfeeding my son, so I had to take a hand pump with me, and it was really creaky, like a haunted door. And so I went to the private bathroom right to the back, so they wouldn't hear me because they were snoozing. And what I didn't realize is that the shower was an automatic shower, like a sensor one. And so it just like turned on, and I was there like, oh my God, okay. And then I realized, actually, no, it's fine. I've packed spare clothes. Always pack spare clothes. If anyone wants to become a birth photographer, just pack your freaking spare clothes, because you never know when you're going to be an idiot or need them. So that was really funny. And I walked out and they were like, were you having a shower? And I was just like drenched.
Not intentionally.
Like this. And I was like, and then I just changed and it was fine. But it's just great that my clients as well we're so chill with each other. Like I can literally make a mistake like that, obviously that's not affecting them, and we just laugh about it. That's really important, is that client relationship, just like wedding photography as well. You have to have that relationship, and you have to have that back and forth.
Yeah, that's a two-way street as well, isn't it? Like you said at the start, it goes both ways, doesn't it?
How do you establish that rapport? Because we talk about it all the time in terms of like the access that we get and that we're privileged to get at weddings, but it's a whole other level for birth. How do you get that rapport? How do you establish that sense of trust, really? Because how?
Tell us
now. individually, so not with like hospitals and things. That's sort of a different ballpark. But individually with my clients,
yeah, that's what I mean.
Right. So I make sure that before they book on, before we go ahead with anything, we have a conversation. If it can be in person, it's got to be in person. If it can't, then it's video chat, and it's with the birth person and birth partner. So making sure that everyone is on board.
Yeah.
That's very, very important. It's basically them asking me questions, and I talk about what's included, what my role is, what, you know, I want to understand what they expect my role to be, and then we can sort of navigate it from there. And it's amazing just seeing people sort of relax a little bit when they can actually see you and they can actually have that conversation and ask the questions they've been afraid to ask, because birth photography is still really, really niche in the UK. It's getting bigger, which is amazing. So I think it's just about making sure that communication is there from the very, very beginning, and ensuring that goes through the whole way, especially when they need to call you at 3 a.m. when they're in labour, making sure they feel comfortable enough to call you, even if it might be a false alarm.
So true, because it could happen so easily in terms of like, oh, actually no, it's not happening today.
And that has happened quite a few times. Yeah, the longest birth I've been at was 4 days, and the shortest birth was 2 hours.
Wow.
So it really varies.
What is the kind of radius? What's the furthest afield you've gone for a? You said Manchester, didn't you?
That's the furthest.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it, because it's, you know, that drive back is tiring. The drive there, fine, full of adrenaline. Yeah. We're ready to go. We're excited. I've got sweets. I've got sugar. I'm good. I've got healthy snacks that give me vitamins. No, I have sweets. And then the way back, I make sure in my car I've packed a pillow and I've packed a blanket, so that I can stop off at services and sleep if I need to. Yeah. I remember coming back from Manchester, not this time round, but another time round when I went to go and see my client. It took me about 9 hours to get back because I was so tired, and I just had to keep stopping. Also, the traffic was terrible, but that's out of my control.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I think, okay, so my radius from now on,
the new boundaries.
My radius from now on is hour and a half maximum.
Okay.
from where I am. I do have a package for out of radius births, however I might be taking that off, and I also have a different package for people who are having scheduled C-sections, so that on-call time, it basically is moot. It doesn't exist, because that's really what the majority of the fee is that on-call time, where I can't book in other big projects, I can't book in workshops, I can't go and leave the country or go partying. Come on. Just
in the club.
Yeah. Having a nap. Yeah. So it's, the majority of the fee is that on-call time, and it's making sure that's known as well, and the clients know that, because it's not cheap, because it can't be, if that makes sense. You have to charge for the time that you're on call for to make up for all the other things that you can't book in for that time. So I don't have a January birth, so I can do lots of other things, like come here. And it's just about making sure you set those boundaries as well, and making sure everyone's comfortable, including yourself.
Studio Ninja, Igor.
Here we go.
Yeah, I'm off again. But I just wanted to talk about one more thing, because I think, and I'm not here to criticise one of our sponsors, but I think they're missing a trick.
Ooh, shots fired. Tell us what you think.
They are. It claims to be designed by photographers for photographers, which it is. It is designed by photographers for photographers. So I'm not arguing that. but it's not just for photographers.
That's it. It's so much
I just
more.
think it's for anybody that's in a service-based industry. This piece of software is invaluable. I've had friends that are MUAs, hairstylists, florists, stylists. You name it. I've had them all reach out, and I've given them sort of guidance and setting them up that have gone on to use Studio Ninja and like, this is invaluable for our business.
Yeah.
So if Studio Ninja are listening and watching this back, might want to think about who you're targeting it to, because actually I think they're missing a trick. I think there's a whole market. There's a whole market out there that, you don't just need to be a photographer or a videographer in the wedding industry. If you are a service-based industry and you've got clients or couples, whoever they may be, and you need to book people in, you need to send them automated emails, invoices, the system and the software is there for anybody to use in whichever business they're operating in.
Yeah, get Studio Ninja.
There you go. So what's the discount code, Igor? You should know it by now because I've told you a few times.
Let me see. I
wonder what it could be.
I'm guessing. I'm joking. It's another idea. It's that simple. So if you go to Studio Ninja, type in that at the checkout, and you'll get 50% off for the whole year, and you'll get the first month free.
You get the first month free, and then another idea gets 50% off their first annual subscription.
There we go.
There you go. Sorted.
Go get it.
How many births a year? What's a busy diary look like?
I personally take maximum of 2 births a month, and I actually sometimes take big chunks of months off. And it also depends on. So in South Wales at the moment there are no home births allowed at all, which really affects business. And obviously it affects them more, but most of my clients are actually Bristol and Bath, sort of like just going over the bridge, so that's not really a problem. But I take maximum of 2 births, because what if they overlap, and I make sure, so say if someone's estimate due date was at the beginning of the month, that also includes half of the previous month, and then 2 weeks ish after that date as well. So that is a huge chunk of time. So I say 2 maximum a month, so that I can also give myself the downtime to rest and recover, because being present at a birth is a huge thing, not just for the people who are giving birth, obviously majority them, but for people being present as well. That post-birth nap.
Is that where it's at? Is it?
Yeah. That is the spot. That's so good.
We talk about wedding hangovers.
We don't know nothing.
We know nothing.
4 days.
Oh God. But yeah, it's especially with the 4-day ones, it is about managing your expectations and managing your boundaries, and being clear to your client, and having that relationship to say, hey, I'm only human. I need to sleep. I need to go and get some food. I need to rest, and then I can be better for you. It's kind of like the oxygen mask thing in planes.
You've got to take care of yourself.
You have to put it on yourself first before you can help anyone else. And that's exactly what it's like in birth. It's emotional as well, like that emotional load you can really take on, and so debriefing afterwards is really important. So I just did my doula training, and part of that is having a mentor that you can, who's sort of well versed in the field, that you can debrief and you can say, hey, this didn't align with my morals. Can I talk to you about it? Or this birth was great, and then more stuff just comes out. But it's really important to debrief about that. So it's not just that on-call time, it's the afterwards, it's that making sure that you're well rested and emotionally and mentally healed and prepared for the next birth, because you don't want to take someone else's birth into the next one.
I think it's incredible you've done that doula training. I think that's really incredible, because it takes away that barrier as well I imagine for a lot of women to it kind of gives them a reassurance that you're not just there as a photographer, like you're there as a support as well. And I think that's a really incredible thing to have done and added to your business.
Yeah, it says something about you and your character, really.
Yeah, totally.
Because even hearing you talking about birth photography and just the experience in itself in general, we can see by your face and everything that you're saying that you're so excited and passionate about it, which is incredible.
It comes down to like how can you serve your clients better, doesn't it?
Exactly.
In like the most extreme way.
Yeah.
Like, how can you how can you support them during what is the
how
most,
can I make this amazing for you?
the biggest milestone of anyone's life? How can you offer the support and the direct whatever it is that goes into that? I mean, I've not done my doula training, so I don't know. But like, how do you offer? It's just, I think it's incredible you've done that. I really do.
Thank you. And it was really important for me to have that certification. I still got a bit of coursework to do to finally get my actual sort of stamp of approval, but I've done all my training, because there's no actual official board that can officially certify you as a doula, so you have to do it sort of privately. So anyone can call themselves a doula, and actually I mean, photography is not a real job either, so it's like just made up jobs. It's all just scam.
Yeah,
we just made it up.
We're just playing.
What do you do for a real job?
And,
what
do you do during the week?
Really? So it was really important to me to have that knowledge, so that I felt confident in my ability to serve my clients the best, and in my ability to know who I am as a birth worker and as a doula as well. That's really important to me. I think especially knowing my own birth experiences, it's important to have the support you need, and I want to be that person for people that want it. And it's amazing the trust that people put in you. Like when you really think about it, that's nuts. Like, that is insane for someone to say, you can come to my birth.
Yeah, I think they trust you because you've earned that trust. Like, you've earned it by putting out a really high quality product that you consistently back up, by showcasing your skills as a person, and a very affable, likable person that you would want to have around you, that's also got their interests at heart. Like, that's everything that you need to go to trust, isn't it?
The perfect storm.
Yeah, it is though. It is. It just shows.
I brought Anna along to your birth.
And the lucky pig.
And they will take care of you.
Oh, and I've got a manatee in their car. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, okay.
This pig has actually come with me to birth, because I put it in my photography bag. So this pig is at your birth. It's there. It's interesting that you say about like the personality and then the product, because I was really having a chat with my designer, my web designer, about my brand, and I've struggled. She's going to watch this and she's going to be like, Han. I've struggled with my brand for a really long time because of me, because I thought that the way my brand looked and the way I had to present myself had to be reflective of the product that I put out. But if you look at my work, it's very dark, moody, intimate, sentimental and raw, but actually I'm kind of just a bit of a goofball, and I was hiding that for the longest time because I thought clients didn't want someone that didn't match up with the thing they were creating. And I've been following Lewis Capaldi on TikTok, right? And
I was not expecting that name to come out. But
I
yeah.
think he's the best example for this. And that's what I'm trying to be more like as Lewis Capaldi this year. Because, right, an angel must have come down and just like given birth in his throat, right? Because his voice is stunning. He is nuts. And he showcases that.
His character is just off the wall.
Right. But his
random and energetic and sarcastic and just like
he does
unpredictable.
Not give two shits to say about what anyone thinks.
He's awesome.
Yeah,
and
it's incredible.
He's actually really given me that confidence to have the art that I create and also be myself, because I think it's really important to showcase who you are alongside your art as well. I don't think the two can live separately.
So your guest suggestion then is Lewis Capaldi.
But only if I can be here.
Yeah, okay.
With the pig.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll get the boss to clip it up.
I bet you he'll do it. I bet you. Why not?
Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
Something I was going to ask, which very much touched upon what you were saying about being yourself, really, is, so you're a mother of two. How have you found that becoming a mother? So obviously with what you said in terms of your story, yes, you had your first child, then you moved into birth photography, exploring it. But being a mother, just being a mother in general, how has that changed your perception of what you do in terms of birth photography? Anything within that you can sort of like expand?
It's honestly changed everything, and it's not just about the business and not just about the photography. It's changed everything about who I am and the possibility of who I can be as well. I was saying in the car, like, my kids are nuts, and they are my two little roommates, and I love them to absolute pieces, and they make my work better, and they make me better. And I know my experience becoming a physical mother when I gave birth, and how that just completely shifted something within me, and it made me be able to see other people's experiences. And I know how important it was to me, and that shift, I mean, like, how the importance of that shift in personality and the way I quite literally see the world. And I wanted to give people the gift of being able to see that in themselves. That moment of that shift is just, I don't know, there's something incredible about witnessing someone going through just the most intense patch, and then relief, and then they are changed. You know, you are a human before you give birth, and you are a human before you become a parent, but you're a different human once that child is born. And my own experience of experiencing that is that it's been so profound and deep, and kind of like deep set in my body and in my brain, and just the way that I see the world. I just wanted to show that other people experience that too. And you know, I didn't have that. Actually, no, that's not true. I do have an image of the moment my daughter was born. My husband just shoved my camera into the midwife's hands, and she was like, "What do I do?" And I was.
It's on back button focus.
Can you just ISO, please?
Yeah,
real
right.
quick.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Wait. And that image, my daughter was born, and I just burst out into laughter, like absolute manic laughter, and it was amazing. And I love the fact that she was born into laughter, and that image is just that. And
why laughter? What
I think it was relief.
That? Yeah?
I think it was like.
Was this like the 10-day
this
one?
Was
fair enough.
The 10-day. I think it was also the fact that, like, holy crap, there was a human there.
Yeah. Shit just got real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the following weeks after I gave birth to my daughter, I suffered really badly with postnatal depression. But that image, I framed it and I put it right next to my front door. So every time I came home, or I left, or I was struggling to leave the house, and I was sort of standing at the door deciding whether or not to cancel plans because I couldn't physically bring myself to go out, I would look at that picture and think, I can do hard things because I've done hard things. And that moment for me has been really imperative in the way that I take pictures for other people's births, to give them that image of, holy crap, I'm amazing, I can do this, I've done hard things, and that was a hard thing, and I can do more hard things, and I can live my life knowing that I accomplished this incredible thing.
There's an image that stands out on your feed. There's loads of images, but just you talking about that. There was one in particular. I don't know if it's a pinned one, but where it's like a kind of top-down shot, and I'm assuming it's a home birth, and she almost looks like she's like roaring, and she's just given birth.
Yes.
And I think baby's on her chest, and you're like the power in the shot is just like remarkable.
Yeah.
It's like how that must feel for her and her family. Can't even imagine, can you?
Yeah.
And
what a gift to be able to give that to your clients. It's the privilege. It's incredible, but what a gift. Here you go. How are you feeling, Sam?
It's emotional, isn't it?
I know you are.
It's emotional, yeah.
You're watering.
Oh.
You're watering.
I'm just going to drink my chamomile tea. Just give me a moment.
I think also because, being in labour, you know, that is intense in itself. And from my own experience, I do not remember like 80% of what happened in that time. And I had a birth photographer with my son, and looking back and filling in those gaps has been really, really helpful for, you know, for my own healing as well, because it fills in a story of a really intense time in my life where I actually was a little bit out of control. I didn't have full control of a situation, and I don't remember parts of that situation. And so it gave me the opportunity to take back some of that control, because it helped me fill in the gaps, if that makes sense. And that's what I really like, is also being able to show my clients how I see them, because especially, you know, if they suffer with postnatal depression afterwards, it can be really helpful for them to hear how I perceived them in that moment, and how I perceive them as a mother, as a parent. And it's just, I'm just a bit dumbfounded. Like, it's just amazing.
It is remarkable. It is absolutely remarkable.
And I remember taking that picture because I had the R5, so I flipped the screen down and I was kind of like blind shooting. I was like this. And I remember taking it and I was like, holy shit, all right, that's the one I'm going to edit first. And it was just awesome. And then being able to show her that, so I actually put that one in the previews of their birth, and, you know, make like a very small story start to finish for their previews, so it helps them immediately sort of process if they want to see it. And then obviously when they get their full gallery, it's the whole sort of shebang. But I remember taking that photo and I was like, oh, that's really crisp.
That's a keeper.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like it.
That image as well, like just what you've just described there, is kind of like the creative process, isn't it? You know, you can't just come up with that. It doesn't just happen. Like, things have to align. You have to work through something, don't you? Something will have led you to go, I'm going to hold my camera up here above my head, and, you know, that's just.
And that has only come with practice, and that's only come with experience, and putting myself out there and doing births for free, which I don't recommend, because that's a lot of time. Obviously, it's a privilege to be at that birth, and to get that portfolio material, but actually the way that I got my first few births wasn't just from birth photography, especially my first birth, or maybe even my second one. I showed newborn images and said, this is the style of work that I can create. I'm looking to expand into this. Would you be willing to take that risk, take that chance? And they did. And so I'm very thankful for that, for all those people, all those families that have taken a chance on me.
Oh, you've totally repaid it.
Yeah,
that trust and that chance. Definitely.
Auntie Han.
With the big toe.
No, that's amazing. I guess the pandemic would have been a massive challenge for you in terms of like having access to your couples, or to your mothers and whoever was giving birth. How did you find that?
I actually have a really fun story. I'm really glad you brought that up. The pandemic was hard. That was really hard. So I'm in my I had to make some changes in my business and in what I could offer, because I couldn't physically go out and shoot. And so that was the moment. I'd already started sort of my education business, and that's the moment I really sort of put everything into it, and very, very grateful that took off really well, and that took off really nicely. And I've got a really incredible group of mentees. I've got a separate birth mentee group and then general mentees, and they are just outstanding. They're amazing. And during the pandemic, I actually photographed a virtual birth. So, you know, people were doing virtual shoots. Yeah.
Mainly portraiture.
So I did.
How do you photo? How do you do that?
For iPhones.
I've never really understood the virtual thing anyway. So let's just work.
Let's break it down.
If I can understand how you can photograph a virtual birth, then I've got it sussed, haven't I?
So what we did is we had a couple of dry runs. So basically, what happened in the actual birth is I was propped up in the corner on Zoom, and I was watching the birth from Zoom from my living room. From one angle, and then her mum was her second birth partner, and she had her my client's, her daughter's camera. She was a photographer as well, and I was telling her where to go, what to do. So I was in Bluetooth in her mum's ears.
Yeah.
I was also on the phone, so she was holding the phone and she was also taking pictures of the camera. I could also see her through Zoom, and I was able to speak to her and direct her about where to go and what to do. And it was really funny because I was talking to my client as well. I was like, "Babe, you're doing such a good job. I'm so proud of you." And she was like, "She can't hear you." And I was like, "Oh yeah." And it worked really well. So we used the app. I can't remember which app it was. Maybe the Shutter app. I'm not entirely sure, to do the virtual birth. And then also she sent me the SD card after in post and edited, and then. So
are you having a live feed through the camera or
through the phone?
I had two live feeds.
So
one through the laptop, Zoom.
Yeah, so you can see the space.
So I can,
and then a live feed through the camera so that you can see what the camera's seeing.
Through the phone.
Oh, through the phone.
Yes.
But so Mum was actually pressing the shutter.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Wow.
Because the daughter was a
good work,
photographer.
Mum.
Yeah.
And I was also taking pictures through.
So I suppose you kind of like
through the phone.
Yeah.
Through the Shutter app.
So there were two different perspectives and obviously two different qualities of image.
Yeah.
But it worked really well.
Yeah.
And the editing was a bit of a
well
challenge.
Well done to Mum on that one. Because that must have been watching your daughter give birth must be stressful enough, let alone having a phone and a camera.
But she fully delved into it. It was a proper team. She was amazing. And we were just like having a little wee chat while it was happening. She was like, "Oh, she's doing a good job, isn't she?" And she was like, "I'm just going to get a cup of tea. I'm just going to put the phone down." So that's all right, babe. And but it worked really well. And we did those dry runs where we set it up exactly how. And my client would sort of just sit on a birth ball, and we would turn all the lights off and just have the fairy lights. So have it exactly settings wise, like lighting wise, how it was going to be, so we could test it out. We could think, okay, these are the best settings for these lighting conditions. A lot of challenges. It was really hard, and we took a risk. And she was like, "Well, I want it documented, so let's just give it a go." And I was like, "Yes,
amazing.
Let's do it." That was cool. That was very, very cool.
That's incredible. It just shows your ingenuity, really, to kind of like just provide something new and just adapt to however the environment is giving you, and smashed it. Well done.
That's a real skill in business, full stop, isn't it? We've talked about a few times here about how you kind of you have to move.
Yeah.
We're having to do it at the moment.
Yeah.
We have to do it in 2020, 2021.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's very easy to think about things and I've got an idea and everything else, but to actually put it into action and see the results.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. You mentioned your mentees, your crew.
My crew.
How have you found the whole journey of becoming an educator and then providing workshops and just unleashing everything that you know into the ether, into the space that
It's so cool, and it's such a privilege. I think I wrote in my questionnaire that if there was one thing you're most proud of, and I think I put of all these mentees and of being able to help them on their journey, and they each have their own businesses and they're each sort of thriving and just being part of that. Obviously they're the ones doing all the hard work, they're putting in all the effort, all the passion, but being able to see sort of where the gaps are and having that conversation, thinking, okay, well, let's brainstorm. I love a brainstorm. I love it. And it's just been incredible to see all of these businesses just thrive. It's amazing. And so at the moment in the mentee group, we've got over 40 students in there, and it's great. And I've been doing shoot-alongs, so they come and we work together. They see how I shoot, and they have the opportunity to shoot and direct purely, and I take like a full step back.
Just explain how that goes, because me and Sam were chatting before, and full disclosure, I'm going to confess it. We were chatting, and
I'm like, what were we chatting about?
We read the form, and you said something on the lines of the first ever birth photography workshop, and I was like, no way that can be true. No way that it can be the first ever birth photography workshop. And then I did my research.
Very nice.
Afterwards, And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. This definitely hasn't happened before.
No.
So just go a bit deeper into kind of like what happens at the workshops and how you actually do it.
Okay.
And what do you kind of like set up for your mentees? Because, it actually doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't really get models for that, can you?
So,
or can you?
Or, well, maybe.
Listen.
Okay.
So the birth photography workshop, I'm so proud of it. It's like my own little baby as well, and I'm very, very proud of the fact that it is the UK's first one. There have been like portfolio building days, or maybe like a day in the US. I could be wrong. There could be more, just not that I've seen.
No, there isn't.
They're fabulous.
Done your deep dive, haven't you?
Yeah.
But the UK, there was such a gap in the market for birth photography and birth photographers, and I know how beneficial birth photography is, and having those images from my own experience and from hearing it from my clients as well. And I thought, you know what, there are people out there that want to do birth photography and don't know where to start. I figured it out by myself, and I wish that I hadn't. I wish that I had someone to help. Obviously I had people, you know, very seasoned birth photographers from all around the world that I could speak to and I could ask questions, and that was incredible. But I had this idea that when I first started advertising for births, I didn't have anything that looked like a birth, apart from the newborn images that, you know, if they're very, very new and very fresh and squidgy, then that could work. But it would have been really beneficial for me to be able, and for potential clients to see how it could possibly look and how they could look in the space, if that makes sense. So with the birth photography workshop, I only have 5 tickets per workshop. The reason I do that is so that because it's set in a home, so we're sort of just recreating a home birth scene. The reason I only have 5 is, one, I want to make it intimate and get to know everybody and get to know the help they need and the guidance they need. But also that could be the amount of people at a home birth. And so you have to navigate all these other photographers and not get the photographers in the shot. And I did that purposefully so that if there are quite a few people at a home birth, it's about making sure that you don't get in the way, and it
just takes it away from what it naturally is, doesn't it?
So with the workshops, they're very cool. So we've done 3 now, and the 4th one is going to be in Dublin this year in April, which is very cool. How it works is we have the portfolio building section to start off with, where I have a model who is quite heavily pregnant. I have a birth pool, I have fairy lights. I basically set it up as a home birth environment, and then I annoy my students.
That's brilliant.
Quite a lot.
Fascinating.
By introducing challenges of what home birth would be like. So without warning, I just put bin bags up on the windows and just turn off the lights, and then they have to adjust their settings. They have to, because you do in birth, the lights can just, they're like, I don't want the lights on. Fine, the lights turn off. What do? You have to adapt. So it's all about adapting in that space, and then I'll just flick them back on, and it's just this collective, come on. But it's really interesting about being able to show the students how you can still have your own style while photographing something so completely documentary. And then after that we have pizza. Every single time it's been pizza.
I mean, where do I sign up?
just come for that. And then we go into the education section, and it's this big presentation, and it's a really open discussion. People can jump in, ask questions, write things down, and I'm really excited this year because I am creating my own birth photography certification that's going to be run through me. So if they do a course with me or a birth photography mentorship with me, there's going to be a little bit of work after that, and then they can get a stamp of approval on their website showing that they're an official UK certified birth photographer. So that's coming very soon. Once I decide my branding.
I think one thing that you talked about then that kind of got me thinking as well is about the you've said it a couple of times. It's not huge in the UK, but it's starting to grow, and obviously a sign of a sign of that is the workshops. And I think it's one of those things that people just need to see it a bit more. Like you being here talking about it is going to impact people. People will listen to this that will have friends that are pregnant or have friends that are pregnant, and it will enter their sort of their ether, and they'll be kind of like, oh, actually no, I would never have thought of that, but no, I've seen that work, and actually that is beautiful, and I could do it, and that would be amazing. And I think it's only going to kind of grow, isn't it, over time? It takes people to see it sometimes to realise that they can go and that it exists, and
see it to believe it.
And it's brilliant.
And it like I was saying earlier about the misconceptions about what birth photography is that the thing that I really like and I really encourage my students to do is to make sure that they are having those conversations with their clients, and I have conversations with my clients. What are your boundaries? What are there anything specific that you would like photographed? I will try my best. Or are there things that you don't want? When baby's being born, where do you want me? Do you want me here behind you so that it's this way, so that your privacy is completely
kept
compromised?
Or do you want to see baby's entrance? It's completely personal. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. They think it's sort of more of like a 360 kind of thing, but for me, comfort is my top priority for my clients. And so making sure we have those really, really in-depth conversations about my role, where they want me, what they want me to do, what they want me to capture, what they don't want me to capture, is really important. And so we talk about that a lot. But you're absolutely right. It's about showcasing and showing birth in a way that is different to how birth is portrayed in the media, because it's always emergencies, or it's always waters break, let's go.
And sometimes it can be really graphic as well, and that's the thing that mothers think birth is solely about, perhaps, and where there's a lot of beauty in it, there's a lot of incredible things happening, and
and I totally understand, like, why wouldn't you think that it was graphic if that's all you've been shown? So I have some fun ideas that I'm going to keep lock and key about being able to share birth photography, and not just birth photography, but just positive birth but through like an artistic eye to a wider audience. But I can share with you after.
Yeah, amazing. Yes, is everyone warm enough, by the way? Are we okay?
It's getting chilly. It's getting chilly, but we're getting there.
We've had snow this week, and it's an old building, so I do apologise.
No, that's cool. Something that I love about your work is that, especially when you sent in sort of like your portfolio in, sort of like, I don't know if they were sort of like your favourite images or not, the ones that you sent to me and Sam, but I love the versatility and variety of it, really. It wasn't just, and I say just in brackets really, birth photography, but you had motherhood photography in there, but with some kind of like elements of fashion in there were quite really cool and everything else. So how do you round everything up and kind of like just try to keep your portfolio sort of like cohesive and
that is a very good question, and that's something that's important to me, is making sure that even if I'm taking couples pictures, or if I'm taking pictures of baby, it's my style, so it's easily recognizable as, that's HB's work. I can't believe I just referred to myself as HB.
Oh yeah.
That's really important to me, and I think it's that was a lot of sounds. I just think that birth, and when we get to that point, it's kind of who we are leading up to that point, and if that means that you want to have couples images, or that means you want to have maternity images, or just images of yourself. I think the human experience is really exciting to me, and I'm really fascinated by humans as a whole, and actually I think probably I quite like it because birth is so different in every single aspect, and humans are so different in every single aspect, and I think there's something really, really beautiful and exciting and enticing about that. And so I like to take lots of different things, but keeping it cohesive in maybe style, colouring, I suppose, and just also making sure that I'm having fun with it as well, and not actually being too stressed about it being this perfect board, you know, especially with Instagram. It is our online portfolio, but you know, we could get so caught up in curating it to look perfect.
It never does.
Never does. And why should it? Like,
No.
if we aim for perfect and we get there, where are you going to go? Everything else is just going to be boring after that, because you're never going to get better than perfect, because that's your top standard.
Yeah.
And
I think it's about as well, like, kind of creating, like, reminding yourself who you're doing it for as well, isn't it? Like, I always think, you know, that the trap that Igor's kind of, I suppose, you kind of set is almost like the people that kind of are trying to do it to impress other people all the time, rather than just doing it to just be pleased with themselves.
And
to be
I've
like,
definitely been there.
you know, I think we all have. I think it's a part of the journey of being a photographer.
Yeah.
It's like figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's great.
Yeah.
I think you should figure it out. You should get it wrong. And there is so much amazing stuff that can be found in getting stuff wrong. And it was kind of a big switchy point when I realized it's okay to just get things wrong. No one cares. No one cares as much as I care about their opinion. And my therapist had a very, very good thing that she says, and I think about it a lot, that she says, if you're going to live in your imagination, you might as well imagine something good. And I think about that a lot, because I'm always thinking, oh, this person is judging me for this, or they don't like my images because of this, or I shouldn't have said that because of this. But that's my thoughts, right? So I might as well imagine something good.
As you were talking, and I promise this is true.
Oh.
I'm not just saying this. As you were talking previously, especially when you were describing your clients, and I was kind of like thinking in my head, your emotional intelligence is kind of like just off the charts. It's one of those things, like, how do you teach emotional intelligence to people? Kind of like,
I'm not sure.
Like, yeah, here's a great exhibit. Kind of like, just listen to this, and here's a great exhibit. And I was sort of like thinking, the question was going to be, it's not even like, just psychology in general, are you interested in it? Because your emotional intelligence is off the charts. But then you mentioned you're a psychiatrist, so I'm kind of like, she's definitely
it's a high level of self-awareness, isn't it?
Exactly that.
Yeah.
I think,
exactly that.
I think for me, it's taken me a really long point, and actually, like you said, you know, we're only 2 weeks into January, and I feel like I'm a different person in these last 2 weeks. And I know people have like these New Year's resolutions and kind of think of the new year as a fresh start. And actually, I've really tried to intentionally do that, but actually also take the pressure off. I put so much pressure on myself to get things right, to get things perfect, to be this person. But actually, I was forgetting to just exist and have fun existing, and being here, getting a train, like all of that was super fun. And I think I'm probably... I enjoy talking about emotions because it's such a huge part of how my art is created. And I don't think that I could create the art I do if I didn't put emotion into it and didn't hear people's stories. And so, especially with shoots, I like to chat with them and ask them about their story, and then they sort of relax in because they're thinking about past lovely things, or you know, how they got to this point, or struggles that they've gone through to get to this point, infertility or loss or whatever. And there's something really special about being able to show people their story. But I think actually the emotional intelligence probably comes from trauma. Yeah, but we're good, we're all good. Got my lucky pig, I'm fine. But I do think that it took me personally to get to a point where I couldn't live the way I was living. I couldn't think the way I was thinking anymore because it was destructive. And I couldn't grow as a person or an artist or a mother or as a wife or as a friend, or just someone you pass in the street that makes your day. Like I couldn't become that person without all of that, and without making that specific intentional change to just live. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I don't know how we follow it up, but yeah, it does, yeah.
I was just looking at Sam. I'm like, Sam, say something. I'm a creative. I'm not versed in trauma and psychology, but you do often find that people that have a level of self-awareness have experienced some kind of trauma. And that, it might be anything. It doesn't have to be like a. There are obviously different levels of trauma, aren't there? Yeah, that's it.
Oh, absolutely.
And everybody has their own version of what a trauma might be. But I think sometimes
that's it.
It's something that just shocks you, obviously, and you obviously whatever yours was, you obviously got to a point where you realised that something had to change, and that makes you step out of your body a little bit, doesn't it, and look at everything on a bigger scale, a bigger picture.
Absolutely, and it made me. I've talked a lot about boundaries today, and it made me really think about boundaries and boundaries in terms of how other people react with us and how we set our boundaries with other people, but also the boundaries we have with ourselves, and whether or not it's a comfort zone boundary or an actual, no, this is my boundary. And I was thinking that actually our comfort zone is, we can get to the edge of our comfort zone, but if we break that, it's not that your comfort zone is completely gone and you have no fears or no worries or whatever, it's just grown bigger. Oh my God. That's my fear. I've been thinking about that. If that falls, that's going to be
Hannah
very
almost
loud.
knocked her water bottle.
Just, it's that our comfort zone, it can be broken and it can be stepped out of.
But that's a really healthy thing. It's really healthy.
And there are so many exciting things, and it doesn't mean that you can't come back into that space that feels safe and that feels comfortable. But we have this saying in our house when the kids are feeling anxious about doing something, or we're feeling anxious about doing something, we say, okay, is it a safe thing to do? Yes. Are you feeling scared? Yes. Okay, just do it scared. Because saying, don't be scared about doing this thing, I can't tell someone's brain how to feel. Like, that's just silly. But just do it scared is the thing that has really helped me this 2 weeks, these last 2 weeks really, and everything up until that point, it's having that fear. Like when I spoke to Mela and got that, do you want to come on? I was like, there is no way. Why would they want to speak to me? What do I have? All of these incredible artists that they've had already on the show. Why on earth would they want to speak to me? And I find it really hard personally to see my own achievements and my own successes. Like, if I wrote it down, I could see them. I'd be like, those are some cool things that I did. But it's really hard for me to see those things. So, and I was really annoyed about that and really frustrated that I couldn't see the things that other people were seeing. So I've just decided to just not worry about it, because if they're seeing it, great. If I can't see it, that's not going to change anytime soon, and if I just need to just put that to the side. I think
achievements as a creative is a really difficult. So I think everybody listening, if they're in a creative field, will absolutely relate to what you've just said about kind of not seeing their own achievements, because I don't know. It's whatever creative field you're in. And generally, there's not kind of like a governing body that says, hey, you've achieved something great here. We're going to give... I mean, unless you're like going to the Oscars or the Golden Globes or something like that, maybe. But in our self-employed, small business kind of world, there's no one to say, you've achieved something great here. So we have to kind of see it ourselves, and it's just something we're not kind of conditioned to be aware of, I don't think.
And the only person who is going to be able to do that is yourself.
Yeah.
And I wish I was this deep all the time and self-aware all the time. I'm definitely not. But yeah, I think, coming to that conclusion in my head, not a conclusion because it's not final, and I wouldn't want anything within personal growth to be final. But where I'm at right now, I'm just excited to get things wrong. I'm excited to do things scared, and I'm excited to look a bit stupid. And because so far, it's gotten me here. I've been able to do my workshops. My next one's in Dublin. Like, that is insane. And I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't just put myself out there. And this isn't to say that every time I put myself out there, it goes 100% perfectly all the time. I had I mean, to be fair, I didn't market it well over Christmas, but I had like a shoot-along workshop, a really, really small, intimate one, sold 1 ticket. But actually, I just reframed it in my mind as, great, well, I get to have this really awesome shoot-along with this one photographer, and I get to really get to know them. They get to work with me individually for a lot cheaper than it would have been to actually purchase a shoot-along in itself. So there are so many ways that we can reframe crappy situations. And so that's what I'm really trying to do, is just to rebrand situations in my head. Yeah.
Amazing. No, absolutely
so
amazing.
Yeah, I don't know why you doubted yourself so much in terms of like us wanting to have you here. I think what you've achieved has been amazing, and just it's very, very clear very quickly into our conversation that you were going to bring value to the conversation, and don't doubt yourself again. Stop doing that.
Please do not.
Okay.
Okay. I won't.
I think the point you make about just experimenting and trying things all the time, I think is just massive. Cause, it's like we've said it so many times. Like, what's the worst that could happen? What goes wrong?
That's it.
Yeah. I've also started doing this thing, and it's a little bit mad, but aren't we all a little bit mad? Where I've had this mentality of they can only say no, and I just kind of say that phrase in my head. And I recently got a new phone, and it was like a refurbished one from this like company where they recycle tech, and it's expensive to buy a phone, right? So I just messaged them on Instagram. I was like, hey, I'm about to buy a phone. Do you have a discount? What's the worst they can say? No. I would still be buying the phone, but this way I got a sweet discount. So why not? And then I've been messaging brands that I really like their work, and I'm like, hey, do you want to work together? And if they don't have the space to do that, it's not personal. They just don't have the space to do that. And if it is personal, do I want to be working with them anyway? Probably not. So just my sort of mottos I've been saying in my head is, if I feel like I'm going to be judged, maybe I should just do that thing anyway, because I want to do that thing. If you're feeling scared, just do it scared. And whatever one I just said, I don't remember.
We'll rewind it.
We'll
figure
rewind.
it out.
That'll be fine.
But do it scared is spot on.
Oh, they can only say no.
They can only say no.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Left field question. It's not even a left field question, just changing the subject really. What's in your kit bag?
In my kit bag?
Yeah.
Okay. It depends on which bag I'm taking. So my regular bag, because I have my doula bag as well, and my birth photography bag is also different to my... I kind of just shove everything in, so it's mostly the same. Let's be true, I'm not that organised. So I have the Canon R5, and got that middle of last year. That's been great. And then my backup is the Mark IV, the 5D Mark IV, because I had the 3 and the 4, and I was using the 4 on the live screen like 100% of the time. It just got to the point where I was like, okay, well, this feels like a natural progression to...
It's incredible how phones have changed the way photographers use their
Oh
DSLRs.
my God, it's because of the phone.
Yeah, that's it.
That's why.
That's it. That's exactly right.
Oh, okay.
I find myself doing it, and I'm like, why am I constantly using my view?
I don't think I remember last time I looked through the viewfinder.
Yeah,
other than to actually check a photo, like someone's eyes were in focus.
Yeah.
Like I'll do it to review a photo, and people are like, "Why are you taking a photo of the floor, mate?" I'm like, "Oh no, I'm just checking the photo." And you know, it happens to every wedding.
Yeah, that's it.
And then I've got just it's a cheapo little flash thing. I probably should know that, but I don't. And I use that, and that's for births as well. And obviously, that's a whole different conversation about, do we use flash in births or do we not use flash in births? I can say confidently that you don't know it happens, and that's from my own experience as well. I think in my own experience, I noticed it went off once, and I was like, oh cool, she's got the flash out, nice, that means she's understanding the lighting here. So I was like, my photos are going to be great. I have a flash, and then 1,000 batteries. I have my pig, and I'm pretty sure I've got a snack in there.
Has the pig got a name?
Well, it did. Oh no, oh my God, I'm so silly. Yes, it does. I haven't got the pig out my bag in such a long time. This is Bubbles. The story with lovely Bubbles is my lovely, lovely grandfather used to own a pig called Bubbles, and Bubbles comes with me in my bag. Yes, and here, apparently. I think that's basically it. Am I missing? Oh no, I have like a video light as well, which I've actually found that has been more helpful to give to midwives at home births when their headlamps don't work.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we should get some of these, and it's super bright, and the charge sticks for 1,000 years. It's really great. I also have some fractals. I don't use them very much. And I have a plastic bag to...
Ooh, let's get creative.
Because I think at birth as well, like especially if you want to really implement your own style into it, which is the point of, you know, why we hire different photographers. It's not that it's a cookie cutter thing. It's we hire photographers because we resonate with their style. And that's the same for birth photography, even though it's, you know, completely documentary. There are times in births where everything is the same. For hours, they could just be asleep, and so you have to find. You can either rest yourself, or if you're rested or you've had too much Lucozade and you're a little bit wired, then you can find creative ways to document within that time. And so I have a few things in my bag. Sometimes I don't get to that point. Sometimes I have to run in with camera ready, and just that's it. The quickest birth I've been at was. Oh my God, I was called at 4 o'clock in the morning, and it was in Bristol, so I got there at like 5:07, and then baby was born at 5:38.
Wow.
It was fast. It was super, super fast. And she was incredible, actually. I don't know how her husband, she started labouring about 45 minutes before I got the call. He set up the pool, he filled the pool, he got everything ready. The fairy lights were up. It was a home birth. He called the midwives, he called me, and he was just like, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, how are you?
At 4 in the morning. Incredible.
Okay. I'm like, I'm ready to go. But yeah, that's basically it in my bag. Yeah.
Never a dull day, is there?
No. Not in HD Lives.
A wedding's a bit boring now.
Yeah, they are.
No, I joke. They're not. But, honestly, that's it's. Scratching my head again. Yeah. Honestly, I feel like I could sit here for another hour or two.
Yeah,
and
just
I want to know more stories, I think. Yeah. But it has been genuinely magnificent to have you up here today to talk about. You know, I think you've been a wonderful guest.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm looking forward to people discovering your work and maybe seeing birth photography in a new light.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just enjoying the conversation that you've had and the things that you've shared, like just the kind of just go for it and give things a shot approach to life and to business. Or like, what's the worst that could happen? And it's been brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. Any sort of photography tips that you would give to anyone wanting to start birth photography?
Well, you can work with me if you want to. Ka-ching. My main thing would just be to practice being in adaptable situations and unpredictable situations. So one of the things I say to one of the exercises I give to my birth students is to have I don't know, like an inanimate object, like a teddy or a pig, and to photograph that, but have someone switch the light on and off, or like just move like a candle next to it, or move some fairy lights around, and just have, so it's completely
different
out of
types
control.
Of lighting.
Different notes of lighting, and just making sure, because it's the speed in which you can get that setting right, which is where that practice comes in. I think the main thing actually is looking within yourself and knowing, is this the path that I want to go on? Is it for me? And the only way to know is to just dive into it and really do your research and look at different photographers' works. There's some incredible photographers, birth photographers in the UK, or just dotted around the world, and just kind of immerse yourself and see if that's the path for you, because I think that's the first step before you even go into that room. I don't think that just applies to birth photography. I think that's just generally photography or creative fields, whatever it might be. I think it's and my last bit of advice would just be to have fun and just go for it, because the only person holding you back is you. And I've learnt that myself. Last year was a doozy. This year, not so much. But yeah, that would be that's it. Yeah. You got it.
Amazing. And then we've got like a little final question that we ask. We've asked every guest for what, the last sort of 15 episodes now, I think, haven't we? So we just kind of like to finish on this one, which is, if you could go back to the 14-year-old Hannah, what would your words of wisdom be?
Oh, sweet little me. Oh man, I straightened my hair into oblivion. That was such a mistake. God, what a 14-year-old me. I would say, just look around you and see what makes you happy and just follow that. And that if you really sort of really look into yourself and look at your surroundings and look at the things that are important to you, you'll be fine. And I'll just give him a big old hug. I think that's the thing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Hannah.
Thank you for having me. You've been amazing.
Absolutely incredible. So much insight and wisdom and self-awareness that, we're truly grateful that you made the time to come and join us.
I think people will find it fascinating.
Yeah.
I think it's a fascinating episode.
It really is.
Oh no, thank you so much. It's
where
been
and
amazing.
how can people find you? What can people do when they shout you out on Instagram?
Fab. So on Instagram, I'm at Hannah Photography UK. I'm mostly active on there. I do have a Facebook, but it's automated through Instagram. So find me on Instagram, drop me a DM. I'm happy to chat or leave a voice note. And I also have a website which you can find through the Instagram bio. That's probably the easiest way to find it. It's the usual W's, HannahBphotographyUK.com, which usually is a bit confusing, but everything's on there. I also have an education page, but we're actually getting rid of that and merging everything into this one big amazing space, and that's coming this year, if I can decide on my branding.
We know the struggle.
That battle. The battle is real.
Yeah. But the main thing is the Instagram, and everything's sort of on there, and I'm really active on there, and love meeting new people and love making those connections. So the Instagram's
amazing. Well, thank you very much for coming up to Derby today. Igor, any parting words? What do people need to do?
People need to hit you up with the first words being big up to the toe, and that's how you'll know that they found you through another idea. And no, seriously, thank you so much for just bringing so much gold to this episode, and thank you the audience, for once again hanging out with us and constantly being
we're out like an hour and 35 in, aren't we?
That's it. Nice. Constantly being faithful to our musings. So it's incredible. So we cannot wait to bring you another goodie one, but we'll leave you with this one, and have a good one.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Woo! Igor, say some parting words.
Do I leave?
Walk away.
Am I meant to leave?
That'd be great. Bye, Anna. Bye, Bubba.